This is Paul Malloy, host of Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show. I hope you'll join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the 𝐇𝐎𝐿 Radio Network, where we strive to bring you libertarian perspective on political events of the day. There's no show quite like Freedom Works, with in-depth interviews, our ultimate top 10 list, and so much more. So join us for Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. here on the 𝐇𝐿 Radio Network.
Tune in Saturdays from 3 to 5 p.m. for Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. That's 2 hours of great gospel music every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m., all brought to you by the Ozona Pig Restaurant in Ozona. Yes, that's every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. It's Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. Tune in on the 𝐇𝐿 Radio Network.
Hey, you new to the area or just want to know about the best hidden gems and upcoming events? Stay tuned. Be Local Buzz with Devin takes you to these places, introduces you to the best businesses, and tells you about upcoming buzz. Preset your radio to 𝐇𝐿 1340 AM or 106.1 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. That is the Be Local Buzz with Devin on 𝐇𝐿 1340 AM and 106 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. Looking forward to speaking with you.
This is the 𝐇𝐿 Radio Network.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
Caregivers around the world today, it's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers, on the show where you can find help and hope, maybe a couple of laughs too along the way. Maybe. And that voice is my best friend, my co-host, and my sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Perfect. The weather is perfect.
Yes, the weather is perfect.
Our fall is here. The trees have changed.
Yeah. All the Canadians are coming home. And then
well, they won't be down, but the Americans will, because they only get 6 months, so they come later. But yeah, my park is starting to fill up.
Yep. That's what the girls at Curves were saying. All my friends are coming back and everything. I said, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it's nice to see life in the park. In the summer,
it's like night and day.
Yeah.
Hey, Ed, how are you doing today?
Me and my hat are just fine.
You and your hat.
Lynn thinks because I'm having a bad hair day, so I had to wear a hat.
Nice.
At least she didn't say, "Are you losing your hair? Is that why you're wearing a hat? Are you going bald?"
Yeah. Did you get a sunburn?
No, it's all here.
Okay, good.
Just felt like one of them hat days.
Yeah, it's good to see you in your hat.
Once in a while.
It's all good. And with this is my friend Rachel McInerney from Arden Courts.
Hi, thank you for having me on the show today.
I'm so glad that you're here today. We just saw each other like 2 days ago.
I know, I got you twice in 1 week, so it's such a privilege.
It was like a really good
I hear it was quite
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute because I don't want to forget first to say thank you to our newest listeners, Cheryl in Wisconsin, Martha in Seminole, and Bridget in St. Pete. Because Martha in Seminole said to me, I feel like it's romper room. When she used to say, and today I see Linda, the magic mirror when we were kids.
She probably doesn't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
When we were kids on Romper Room, there was this magic mirror, and at the end of the show, she would say, and I see Linda and Frankie, and everybody wanted their name to get called.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God Linda was a popular name in the 50s, so.
You have to use a Barney reference for Rachel.
Yes.
Romper room doesn't
more
cut
my
it.
speed.
Well, Martha's my age, so it's kind of, I knew it exactly. So, it's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. Yeah, so the seminar yesterday Thursday was, Wednesday was, Wednesday.
It was Wednesday, yes.
Was from hanging in there to joyful and grateful.
Yes.
And it's easy for me to present that because I am joyful and grateful after hanging in there. So it was very interesting. There was a whole bunch of people there. We probably could have even had more people, but we'll come back for more people any other time.
I don't think we could have had more people.
No, not in the room. We couldn't
we were at maximum capacity. So,
but I was very happy too to see men there.
Yes.
So normally men don't come to, it's mostly women. It's the same thing with the support groups. And one man came up to me and he said, you don't really want to go to these things, but they encouraged me to go. He goes, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I was so glad to hear your presentation. So that made me feel good because, a lot of male caregivers have their own issues and they need to talk about it.
And they
too.
don't talk as well as women do.
And they don't have as many men around to talk to.
No, but they still benefit from the togetherness.
Yes.
Right? So I just think, it's difficult for men to reach out for help, but I'm glad somebody recommended he went, and I'm glad that he took that advice.
Well, I'm actually looking into starting in January a support group just for men. So I used to have a support group years
She's
ago
looking for
men.
a husband.
No,
That's a good
That's
method.
the last place to no, but so I had one man in one group, one man in another group, and then one of the guys said to me, "Do you think we could do a group for all men, Linda? Because we have some different issues." And I said,
They are different.
I said we could do that. He's like, "Do you think you can handle us?" I said, "I'll do the best I can." So there was 5 men that always came to that group regularly, like every month, and then some flitted in and out. You know how it goes. And so one day it's time to do the support group, and none of my 5 guys showed up that day. I'm like panicking because they're all my boyfriends, they're my friends by now. But there was new guys there, so I had to give my time to the new guys. And then so after it was over, I started calling up my guys. Oh my goodness, they went fishing together because
Those
that's what you
stinkers.
told us to do, Linda.
Ah,
I'm like, not on the day of my group. And all 5 of their wives passed away, and 2 of the men passed away, but the other 3 still go fishing together.
what a beautiful story.
Yeah, what a good thing, because there's good stuff that comes out of caregiving if you're open and if you share it, because it's there everywhere now. We know it. We're living so much longer than we ever did before, especially in this Tampa Bay area. A lot of seniors came to Florida to retire or whatever for warmer weather, and if we just talk to each other and let each other know what's going on, our neighbors, because I'm sure you have neighbors that are dealing with somebody with some sort of dementia and you don't even know it.
Yes, we have an inverted population at this point because of the boomers. So
That'd be us, Rachel.
yes. So there's going to be more and more caregivers because there's going to be more and more people who have critical illness and disease. So it's good that you promote all these resources to the
Well,
county.
and we're talking about it so much more. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, whatever it was, I had to tell them they were caregivers before I could help them because I'm not a caregiver. I am the faithful wife. I am the good spouse. I am the friend, I'm the sister, whatever. And then I would say to them, well, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? And they're like, yeah. I said, you're a caregiver.
Do you see that as much now? Do you feel like people are
Well, I think
more
we're talking
aware?
about it more, and it's even on television now and
Right.
everything. You see stuff about Alzheimer's and dementia on television all the time now on TV shows. Somebody's got it or whatever.
Maria Shriver yesterday, she was on the Today Show, and she said that she was looking after her mother who had a lot of strokes and her father who had Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's not an easy boat, but the more we talk about it, then more other people are open to it. And when you're open to talking about it, then you can find out about resources. You can get an education because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. I think it's like going to the gym. The hardest part about going to the gym is getting up and going, deciding I'm going to the gym today. And I think people kind of have that outlook with support groups too, because I will promote my support groups to my, community families, and they'll be like, oh, I'll try to make it. I don't know if I can, they really have, and they've never attended support groups before. And they seem to have this angst or kind of this feeling or perspective.
What am I going to have to talk about?
Right.
Do I have to go through the whole story? That's why it's kind of good with the Zoom ones, because there are people that have come on and they don't even show their picture and they don't say anything. They just listen the first 1 or 2 maybe groups. And then they feel a little comfortable because with my stuff too, it's easy because what you see is what you get. It's, we all get to be friends in these groups. We're all rooting for each other. And it's a big deal when you have a team.
Yes, the support, right? We're going to, if you feel like you're not getting support from anywhere else in your life, or you feel like you can't burden those people in your lives, don't go without the support. You just have to find it somewhere else.
Yeah. And just know, and having these conversations, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Something may happen and maybe you can't speak for yourself anymore. Well, let your family know what you want. Talk about these kind of things, about your future, because If you don't, you're the one who's going to be left out.
Oh my gosh, yes, and do your paperwork.
Yes. Do your paperwork.
Please.
And share it with other people.
Yes, don't hide it in your desk drawer and not tell your children where the paperwork is.
Yeah, and I'm hearing nightmares lately too about after someone's passed away, all the paperwork after they pass away, and then you got to find out what their Facebook thing was and what other social media are they on, or just whatever. You know, especially baby boomers. A lot of baby boomers have like 3 different banks that they deal with, especially the older baby boomers, because they used to give you a toaster if you opened up an account for $5.
And that's all it takes.
Yeah, exactly. So years ago, people would go to get all that stuff, and they would have a whole bunch of banks. They would put more money in there, not a lot, but there could be $500 here, there could be $1,000 there, whatever. So, and I thought I have to tell this stuff to my daughter too, or at least tell them, this is my friend that you need to call that will help you. This is my computer guy, or who knows my stuff.
I keep everything in a safe. And I have the combination written on top because it's only paperwork.
Oh, I was going to say, maybe you shouldn't tell all of Pinellas County that.
It's only paperwork. If they want my paperwork, it's not going to do anything. My stash of money would not be in there.
Okay.
Maybe a few Canadian dollars.
Whatever. That's fine.
But yeah, it's a shame to have a safe and you can't put any money or jewelry or anything in it. But I want it available because that's what the fire, that's what's going to go first is paperwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you need it in a fireproof thing.
Yeah, and just even like in the case of a storm or something, and something happens, you need that paperwork. You might need your insurance policies, your medical stuff, or whatever. It's a lot of people don't even know what their thing is on their card, what their ID number is, because they just handed in their Medicare card. So just take a Xerox copy of it. Put it in your safe or your metal box or whatever you have there.
Up until about 12 years ago, your Medicare number was your Social Security.
Yes, those were the good old days. That was so much simpler. As a healthcare worker, that was so much
simpler. It was
simpler.
simpler, but anybody could get a hold of your...
Yes.
But
you know what one of the ladies was saying at Curves this morning? Because she's trying to do something with her husband, and it's the calls and the calls and the calls and the calls, and then call back and push the button and push the button. She goes... You had paperwork. You went in, you gave it to them, they took a copy of it, they gave it back to you, and they made an appointment. So all this technology is not really serving us as well as it should be.
I hate calling and they switch you from one to the other. Jack used to just keep banging on 0.
Yeah.
Till somebody came on, but that doesn't even work anymore.
No, it doesn't. You can go representative.
The call just hangs up.
Yeah.
When you bang on 0 now.
Yeah.
They grew wise to us.
Yes. That's probably my husband.
This is customer service. Yeah, but you know what upsets me is when you have an 84-year-old taking care of an 88-year-old, and then they get frustrated, so then they don't do what they need to do. Yeah. They don't get their medication, or they don't make their doctor's appointment, or they don't step forward to whatever they need to do.
And the people who come on the phone aren't even in the United States.
I know. Sometimes it's hard to understand them.
A lot of times it is. I had a Canadian guy. They had a whole group going up there. I guess their labor's cheaper or something. Yeah. But you want to talk to someone local.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. So that's another thing, too. If you have a neighbor, some older neighbors, and you see they're frustrated with some things, maybe you just suggest them, is there any paperwork I could help you with? Because that might help them a little. Is there some phone calls I can make? Because a lot of stuff, too, you can do online now, but maybe they can't do it online.
They can't do it online. Right?
So then instead of them just not doing it, think about that. Because, we all have neighbors that are in the aging capacity.
And where I live, you certainly do.
Everywhere, though. I mean, really. So before we get into more about yesterday and whatever, we want to talk about some caregiver tips, but I want to talk about some stuff that you have coming up so we don't forget about it.
Oh my gosh, I have so much coming up all the time. I'm such a busy girl.
You are. How many years have you been there now?
Almost 5. Can you believe it?
No, I can't.
I'm all grown up, you guys.
I know you are. You're a big girl now.
Yes. So the first one is Dr. Kate.
I love Dr. Kate.
Yep, Dr. 𝐊𝐘𝐒. She is flying down, gracing us with her presence from Maryland, is it? Yep, from Maryland. And that will be on Friday, November 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Lunch will be provided, and it is at the Seminole Assembly Ministries on 113th Street. So you can call to RSVP to any Arden Courts location. You can Google it. I'm not going to read all three numbers.
Just give me your number.
Okay, 727-559-8411. So you can RSVP to that number, and we'll be happy to feed you lunch. And you can hear Dr. 𝐇𝐎𝐿, who was a gerontologist, worked in this field, and then met one of the loves of her life. And many of us have more than one in a lifetime. And decided to pack everything up and sail around the world with her love. And it was on that sailing trip that she started to notice that maybe things were a little bit too difficult for her new husband. And wouldn't you know that she is now not only talking the talk of caregiving, but walking the walk as she is a caregiver for her new husband. So I think they've been married now for almost 10 years, maybe. So she has both personal and professional insight, and she seems to be very well received.
And I love her because, she has a sense of humor. She's been there. She's walked the walk. She'll have the conversation with you. And this flyer will be on my website under events. So if you didn't write down something, you can go there later and look at it.
Absolutely. So that's the next seminar we have. And then every second Tuesday, Arden Courts of Largo has a free memory screening clinic at the building, just like you get your blood work done and you get a physical every year. You also need to get your memory screened every year. So this is not for people who have a diagnosis of dementia or mild cognitive impairment. These are for healthy aging seniors to establish a baseline and make sure that after they get their first memory screening, if there's a slip in the following 6 months to a year, that we're able to identify that quickly.
So is
that
there
you
like
can
an
get treatment.
age for that? Like
65.
Okay.
Unless you're experiencing something that gives cause for
symptoms,
concern, right, then I would say any earlier than 65 is probably not necessary, although I'm seeing a lot more of the early onset Alzheimer's come into the community. But
Medicare gives you a test every year.
That's excellent. But when I give these speeches at churches and senior centers, I'll ask by a show of hands, can everyone raise their hand if they've had an annual memory screening? And a lot of times it's just 2 or 3 people. Yeah. So despite those services being offered, this is totally free. It doesn't go through your insurance. This is part of our philanthropy and our not-for-profit services that we offer these memory screenings. So don't be shy. People usually leave with a big smile on their face and they feel relieved. And then finally, walking club. We have a Wednesday walk club. It's every week at Taylor Park for caregivers. It's beautiful out again. So please join us on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. at Taylor Park.
You know what's so good at that? You get some beautiful nature, you get some exercise, and you get some camaraderie. I can't tell you, that's like 3 fabulous things all together in one little bundle. So seriously think about that. It's really important for caregivers to take a little time for themselves. And if you can take that hour for that walk, you get to take the walk. You get to be in a beautiful park, especially this time of year.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
And you get to have camaraderie and talk with other people. So seriously think about that. I'll put that on my website too.
We always see the birds and turtles and alligators.
Yeah.
Once a snake. So
and flowers and plants and
No, it's my favorite part of the week for sure. So I hope that anyone who's struggling right now will join us because, again, you leave feeling better than when you came.
Yeah. And is that it with everything?
Let me see.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So yesterday at the seminar, and we're going to address this at the second half of the show, we're going to talk about tips for caregivers because I think tips are really important. But one of the things I was kind of like zoning in on is grace over guilt. Because I asked the question if anybody was feeling overwhelmed or if anybody had guilt, and whoa, hands go up right away. So I want to remind you that you didn't cause this disease. You shouldn't feel bad or feel guilty that your loved one has a disease. The only thing you could feel guilty of is if you're not taking proper care of them or if you're not getting enough help for them.
Or yourself.
Because I've had caregivers pass away before the person that they're caring for.
Absolutely.
And you see more and more of that. No, but today I don't see more and more of that because the stats have gone down a little bit because people are going to support groups, because people are asking their families for help. Many times mom and dad don't want to say anything to you because I don't want to burden my children with this and I don't want to lose my independence. I
That's
definitely
the
don't
biggest
want to lose
thing.
my independence. So mom and dad, especially if you don't live near your mom and dad, you'll call up mom. She'll be like, everything's fabulous. She's not going to tell you that she fell last week and her leg is black and blue. She's not going to tell you that dad didn't poo in 5 days. So that's another thing I want. Well, it's true though, but that's another thing I want to encourage you to do is come and see them or have someone else if you can't unexpectedly. First, number one.
Check the refrigerator.
Yeah. And number two, if you do come to say, if they know you're coming, they can kind of spruce it up a bit, make everything look really good.
Fake it. I call it faking it.
Which I would do the same thing.
Yes.
And so if you do come and they've spruced it up a little bit and got some nice groceries there and everything, you need to stay more than 2 days. Because that's another thing. They can fake it pretty good for 2 days, but you can't for a whole week. You still have to do doctor's appointments. Things happen. So please do that and talk to their neighbors, or if you know some of their friends from church, but their neighbors are going to tell you what's going on because the neighbors many times know what's going on. One of my caregivers took my advice, and when she went to visit her mother, she went over to the neighbor, and the neighbor said, "Oh my goodness, we were so worried when the ambulance came and took her away 2 weeks ago." Well, she never told her kids.
Right.
She never told her kids. So
Would you?
I don't know if I would. I really don't. I don't. I think you have to tell somebody.
Tell me, I tell you.
A lot of times it's the neighbor that makes that first initial phone call when there's out-of-state children. It'll be the neighbors who end up calling the children saying, "Look, you got to get down here. It's not a good situation." So So put your children's phone numbers on your fridge so the neighbors can find them if things get too bad.
Well, it's funny. Someone just called me the other day from Pasco, and she said, "I think there's an issue with my neighbor. And I think her nephew, she said he could come stay there a little while, and now he's got a girl living with him too. And, I just hear yelling over there.
Oh, my goodness.
And stuff, and she feels afraid and everything." And I said, "Does she have any children?" "Oh, yeah, they live in another state." I said, "Is there any way you can get the children's phone numbers? Because they probably don't even know what's going on." And I said, "Do you think she's capable?" She said, "I'm not sure." I said, "Well, why don't you just call the police department and ask them to do a welfare check at least? Let's open the door there." And I'm glad she stepped up. She stepped up. She's new to the neighborhood. She goes, "I just met this is one of the first people."
And you're always afraid they're going to think you're a busybody or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I can remember one time, my neighbor, she kind of like keeps to herself and everything. And something happened. There was a little issue, and I could hear her later on talking on the phone to somebody in her family. And she goes, "The nosy neighbors.
Yeah.
They had to stick their nose and everything. That Linda's okay, though," she goes. I'm thinking, it's really good because I'm sitting in my lanai right across from yours, and I can hear everything.
I hear everything you say all the time.
Well, speaking of that, right now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
Sean W. Scott has been practicing elder law and qualifying clients for Medicaid for over 30 years. While his practice is in all areas of estate planning, such as durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogates, and wills, he also prides himself on having a 100% accuracy rate on getting clients approved for Medicaid. Why Medicaid, you may ask? Do you want to pay up to $16,000 a month for a nursing home should the time come? Obviously, no one wants to have to endure this cost. So even though you may have planned well for retirement, the reality is things happen. Planning ahead is never too soon. You need to make sure your income and assets are protected so that you can take care of you and your loved ones. Florida law is very specific on how and what is protected and how to protect it. Give Sean a call. He can help. 727-539-0181. That's 727-539-0181.
My mom was getting older, but she was able to live pretty independently until recently. When her case manager told me she would be discharged from rehab in just a few days, I didn't know what to do. But I knew for sure that she couldn't go back living alone at home. So that's when I contacted Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. My Senior Living Concierge, Lisa, was there for me through the whole process and was a free service for us to compare in-home care options and how that cost would compare to assisted living. With Lisa's help, we found a great new home for Mom, and she is thriving. Take it from me, don't go through this journey alone.
Hi, I'm Ellie Baldwin, co-founder and president of Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. We're a free placement and concierge service for families to help compare senior living communities and find the best place for you or a loved one. Call us today at 727-314-6451 or find us online at sunwaysseniorliving.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
I love those girls at Sunways. They care so much, and they're really on top of the communities in the area because I'm really careful on who I align myself with. I don't have to worry about Arden Courts, but I don't align myself with any other communities because I can't babysit them.
Yeah.
It could be the most fabulous community in the world, and then new management comes in, or there's like a lot of staff changes, and I wouldn't want my loved one to go there. I know with Arden Courts, what I love about them is they got people working there 10, 15, 20, 25 years. I mean, I'm talking about all staff. Maintenance, the whole deal. So that says something about it. Yeah. And that says something to your residents too, because you just start getting comfortable with somebody and then a new person comes in. And yes. How difficult is that for someone with dementia?
It's so difficult. When I became a caregiver, I was obviously new to the building. I'd never been a caregiver before, and certainly not in that building. And there would be certain residents, and these individuals are living with dementia, so you wouldn't think that they would recognize a person that's caring for them that was not known to them before their disease process. And someone would be giving me a hard time because I'm a new face, and someone who had been there a while would walk up and they would just walk off with them, so they really do get used to, even though their short-term memory's been affected, they get used to who's taking care of them, and they don't want anyone else to take care of them. So,
well, I think everybody's like that though.
Yeah,
nobody wants to change. When you're comfortable with someone that's caring for you, whether it's at home with home health or whatever it is, you don't want to change it. No. You don't want to change it because this is important stuff and a lot of personal stuff. And one little tip I want to give you, because we threw around some tips the other day, was someone complained to me that her mom's not bathing enough and she can't get her mom to bathe. So one of my caregivers, what she does is she tells her mom that this girl is going to come and bathe you because she needs points for school so she can become a nurse. And she has to bathe so many people in order to get her points for school. And her mother was totally open to it because she felt like she was helping someone else.
That's such a good idea.
And this girl was going to become a nurse. So she felt comfortable with her. So think about, sometimes you have to get very creative on different ways.
A little swimming pool in the living room.
Yeah, a little swimming pool in the living room. So what are some of the tips you think our caregivers need to hear about, Rachel?
Well, I happen to have a whole book of them.
You do?
So, yes. So Arden Courts has a caregiver tip book that they offer to all caregivers. And as I was telling Linda earlier, having been a professionally trained caregiver, I learned a lot of tricks of the trade and just trial by error as well. And even when I kind of flipped through this little tiny pocket-sized caregiver tip book, I learn new things. So it's pretty dense, way too much to go through in the 30 minutes that we have left. But I did want to kind of talk about some of them. So always toilet a person prior to bathing or showering them, which might come as like an obvious thing. But trust me, as someone who's failed to do that, it's always much more difficult. You want to provide a washcloth for the person to hold. And we always want to encourage them to do what they can do for themselves. So even if I put the washcloth in my loved one's hand, I put the soap on the washcloth, and even if I have to put my hand underneath their hand, they're they're still doing that. And through muscle memory, after you get them started, you might find that they can finish up on their own. It takes more time, obviously, than to just wash them down really quickly ourselves. But it's important for their sense of dignity that they are still able to do what they can for themselves.
Yeah, because we don't want to, people say to me, Mom just sitting in the chair, she's doing nothing. Yeah, you took everything away from her. So if it takes a little longer to do whatever needs to be done, take that extra time.
And there's so many benefits. So one, this tires my loved one out. This is a little bit of exercise, believe it or not. This can make me feel good about myself because I've done something for myself. So although it might take more time, there's lots of benefits that can be gained from it. When we talk about weight gain can sometimes be attributed to excess fluid in the body. So you always want to keep an eye on your loved one, ankles, feet, lower legs for any swelling. And then weight gain.
Because it's not normal. People say, oh, you're older, that's what you get, it's normal. It's not normal.
No, you need to keep an eye on it. Any sort of changes in weight, whether up or down, if they're sudden and drastic and we don't have a reason for them, it's certainly not normal. Weight gain, believe it or not, is common in the early stages of Alzheimer's and dementia. So, and I think that that's kind of a coping mechanism, that those signals our brain sends to us that we're hungry aren't maybe being processed correctly. So we're overeating. So healthy snacks for your loved one in the earlier stages, but also keep in mind as we start to enter into the mid and late stages of dementia that we're going to start losing weight. We will lose weight in spite of everything we're eating, that we're going to lose weight no matter how much you do as a caregiver. And so if you were super worried about weight in the early stages of Alzheimer's and dementia, it's okay to let go of that a little bit. And you don't have to hold the reins so tightly about what food they're eating, because ultimately in the end, the disease will take about a third of their body weight from them.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, in extreme cases, absolutely. So, so definitely, keep an eye on the weight, but encourage healthy snacks in the beginning stages. And then as you start to notice that they're not gaining weight, or they're not as hungry, or they're not eating as much, that just give them what makes them happy, get calories into them.
Yeah.
So with dressing, offer choices. So do you want to wear this one or this one?
Just two choices.
Just two. Yeah. To keep it simple. And then assess clothing for proper fit. Again, their bodies are changing. So many times residents come into my community and their loved ones pack a bag for them. And then we unpack the bag and dress them their first day with us. And oh my goodness, none of the clothes fit. The clothes are either way too tight or they're swimming in their clothing. It's important for their clothing to fit appropriately. They may not be able to communicate that it's uncomfortable, that they're all ruffled up in their wheelchair. So if they need new clothes, just get them a couple, and if you want,
even get the same ones, because sometimes they like, oh, I just like these pair of pants. So get 3 pairs of the same pants, because they may be comfortable in that and they don't want to change into another. But if you have 3 of the same, then they're going to put clean pants on the next day, hopefully.
Or they might dig the dirty ones out of the hamper.
Yeah, that's true too.
That might also happen. In those situations, just move the hamper out of their line of sight. Move it to a different room, an area of the house that they don't go to. Set out clothing in the order it goes on, from left to right. So there's just certain things we do from learning. We learn to look from left to right. These are subconscious things we do because of the way that we learned as children. Right. So as you're laying the clothes out on the bed, put the first thing they need to put on to the most left area of the bed, and then work your way towards the right. And so the last item on the right should be the last article of clothing that they put on. Shoes should be comfortable.
I thought it would be the opposite way.
Why?
Because I go right to left.
Are you left-handed?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. You just 1 in a million.
Yeah. Well, we knew that.
Okay. Also, your loved one may remove their shoes. You'll start seeing this. They're going to start taking their shoes off as their disease progresses. So just use non-slip socks. Again, don't sweat the small stuff. To your point, be creative about the solutions that we find, but don't hold on so tight to just doing the way we've always done things.
Yeah, because we can't always do things the way we always have.
No, everything is different now.
Yeah.
Urinary tract infections. So They're common. They're going to happen no matter, how much you focus on hygiene and bathroom hygiene. Your loved one is going to get a urinary tract infection if they have any sort of dementia disease process. So, look for increased confusion or irritability. If your loved one wakes up and just doesn't seem right, the first thing you want to do is take them to the doctor and ask for your urine analysis. Don't wait until they get so sick and so confused that they end up in an emergency room.
And be really careful too with incontinence supplies today that you get ones that fit properly, because many times they're sitting in something because it's not absorbent enough, and that can cause an infection very easily.
Oh, absolutely.
So please look into that and make sure that what they have fits them properly and it's the right absorbency. There's many choices today, and it's not embarrassing.
It's funny because I tend to always got a lot of UTIs. They have a kit you can get at the drugstore now to tell you if you have one.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes. And that's a good preliminary thing. I would say if your loved one is exhibiting any sort of change in mental status or condition, just take them directly to the physician's office. But they're great for you and I. But
because of their
because they're so sensitive and it can get bad so quickly. I've seen people living with dementia pass away from a urinary tract infection that went untreated. So God forbid that test was expired in the grocery store, or they don't know how to properly use it and they get a negative symbol.
Yeah.
Well, then now they're going to think that they don't have to treat their loved one for anything. And those are the scenarios where someone can get very sick very quickly.
And when we're talking about this too, you need to watch their bowel movements. Because many times they'll tell you that they're going, but they're not going. And you don't know that. And I have a good friend of mine whose dad had Alzheimer's, who thought he never had to check that because before he never did, until his dad was so impacted they had to take him in an ambulance to the hospital. So as the disease progresses, there may be some other things you have to look out for that you didn't before.
Yes. So what would be a good explanation, Linda, of why we're now in the bathroom with you?
I just want to make sure that the toilet flushes properly.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. So, have your backstory ready of why you're now joining them in the restroom. Maybe make it about yourself. But whatever it is, make sure you're keeping an eye and monitoring that as well. So fecal impaction definitely occurs in people with dementia, and the symptoms are, stomach pain, hardness, and bloating in the stomach. So if you notice that your loved one is exceptionally bloated, more than usual, that's like a giveaway that they may be impacted. So and the best way to avoid this is to drink lots of water. So if your loved one doesn't like to drink water, you again have to be creative in the way that you're going to get that water in them, because they're going to have to get the water in them one way or another. So they're either going to have to go to the hospital and get water through an IV because they're impacted, or...
But you can get them watermelon, you can get them gel drops. No. Yeah, there's a lot of alternate things. So just Google it. It'll tell you.
Absolutely. Yes. Warm prune juice is a really good way. So we give our residents, we have these little cups. They come like pre-measured. Yep. And we put them in the microwave on low and give them that warm prune juice. They take it like medicine, and it works really quickly. Unless, of course, so that's just for normal constipation. If you're impacted, that's not going to work though. Yeah. So what about traveling? Is it easy to travel with somebody with dementia? No, it's not. So have a plan. Don't think you're just going to get on the airplane and it's going to be fine. We want to make sure we go to the bathroom. What are some other things we have to make sure we bring?
Well, not just bring them. Make sure you tell the people, like tell the staff on the airlines, like on the back of my card, my business card, it says the person I'm with has Alzheimer's or dementia, may not understand clearly. If you have a couple of those cards when you're traveling, it can save your life, because people will be nicer to you. Yes. People will be more caring.
More patient.
Yeah. I do think you need to bring something on the plane that's going to distract them, whether it's a memory book, whether it's something tactile that they can hold on to. I think that's really important. Excuse me? Snacks are always good.
If you have a food motivated person, use that to your advantage. Not all people with dementia are food motivated, but we're grateful when they are.
And my husband was.
Makes it so much easier.
Well, that's what the one woman was saying yesterday in the workshop, that she gives her mother ice cream after she showers.
Oh,
Yes.
that would have been for my mother. She was fine, but because
But she still loved ice cream.
Oh my gosh, really? It was, but only on Saturday nights because it's not healthy. She's 94.
Oh, well, that's how she got to be 94.
Exactly.
By only eating ice cream on Saturdays. But yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it right on the head, you guys. So you want to be the last to arrive and the first to leave. And so communicating with the airlines is going to be a really good way to make sure that we do this. So you want to get on the plane last and you want to leave the plane first because
otherwise it's too confusing. It's too much.
We're sitting still for too long. There's too much hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
Right. So
all these people walking by me I don't know, and
I get stressed out on an airplane, but I've had residents coming from other states. Sometimes they're driving straight from the airport to the Arden Courts after being on an airplane. And let me tell you, that caregiver always has panic on their face still.
Yeah.
So you want to have a plan. And then in that sense, you can be successful. So trips and outings that don't involve flying should only be about 2 hours. I had one individual once want to bring their loved one, for an all-day outing, including a theme park, and it's too much. It is
too much.
It wipes them out for days, and we have to ask, who is this for?
Yeah, who's benefiting?
Right. Is this for you or is this for your loved one? And if it's not for your loved one, go to the theme park yourself.
And if any theme parks are listening, my suggestion is you start adult daycare in the theme park. Because I can come there and I can bring my dog for the day. Wouldn't it be great if I could come with mom and she could do maybe one thing with us and go to adult daycare during the day while I'm at the theme park?
Yes, absolutely. So lighting and noise levels. So this is for dining. So we want to look at lighting and noise levels, the intricate menus. Baycare offers a program for dementia dining. I recommend that. If you want more information on that, I'm sure Linda can provide it.
And remember, as things progress, just cut it into small pieces for them ahead of time. Put everything in. Lots of times if they can pick it up with their hands, it's a whole lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Finger foods all the way. So again, for any sort of outings, pack a bag with an extra set of clothes, snacks, water, any extra medication. What if the car breaks down? Just bring the evening meds, even though you plan on being back before the evening, because we never know.
That's a good thing to think about.
Yeah. We never know what's going to happen. So just Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, just be prepared if you have somebody with dementia. So in your bedroom, and some of these might seem kind of obvious, but install a nightlight, remove throw rugs, or if you're going to have throw rugs, make sure they're non-skid, secure closet doors so they don't mistake them for the bathroom when they're getting up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. The gentlemen especially will go to the bathroom and the closet. Yeah. And that's very common. Just remove the knobs from the stove. Just take the whole knob off. It's fine. If you remove the knob, you're taking away any risk that they're going to leave the stove on. Unplug all appliances when they're not in use. Reduce, just like when we have young kids at home, reduce the hot water temperature. You don't need to have the water scalding hot anymore.
Yeah.
And if there's chemicals, put the child locks on wherever you store any sort of toxic substances.
Well, especially today, they got those pods and everything. They look like candy. Your mom or your dad or whoever could go in there and think it's candy.
Yes, absolutely.
It's frightening.
I have seen my residents eat all sorts of things that, and we really examine this stuff and make sure that it's dementia friendly and safe. And we still get surprised all the time about what they mistake as food. So, so that's kind of some of my tips. Do you feel like that's an adequate amount of tips?
Yeah, I think, and one of the big tips that went over good the other day too was, if you have to take your loved one to the doctor on Friday, don't tell them on Monday.
No.
Because they're going to be asking you all day, every day, and not just are they agitated, you're agitated. Because you don't want it. So it's best just to tell them an hour before you're ready to go.
Yes.
before you're ready to go.
The repetition is difficult, I think, more than anything else. And, you know, and all my groups and talkings with caregivers, they struggle with the repetition the most. So,
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. But another thing I want you to remember, too, is to have empathy with them, because this is what I hear. Well, Mom can't do this anymore. She can't do that anymore. It's such a pain for me. Well, how do you think it makes her feel? How do you think? You know, I was just thinking the other day when I was sitting in my bedroom, what if I had to have somebody come and take me to the toilet if I couldn't go to the toilet by myself? I mean, that could happen. So as bad as you may feel, think of how the person who's suffering, how they feel. Because it's really an important thing to put yourself in their shoes.
Yes, it's no picnic.
No, it's
no picnic for them either.
And now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners, because you know the deal. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week, so check them out.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help, because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
We believe the power of the human body and mind can do amazing things, and that tapping into that power, not just tricking it with a temporary disguise, is possible. SuperPatch technology uses a special pattern and vibrotactile technology to help you go from feeling blah to hurrah. Now, once the SuperPatch is in contact with your skin, it triggers a neutral response in the brainstem that helps you tackle your daily problems head on. Whether you're struggling with pain, balance, stress, or focus, we have a solution that might be right for you. With SuperPatch's 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hi, this is Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. I started using the Liberty Patch over 3 years ago. I used to be a tripper, but since wearing a Liberty Patch, I haven't tripped once. The Liberty Patch is proven to reduce the risk of falling by up to 8 times. And as we all know, if you prevent the fall, you prevent the call. Don't wait until it's too late. Preventative solutions are the answer.
SuperPatch does not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure illness. SuperPatch is FDA registered. To receive 25% off your first order, go to sticktoit.info. That's sticktoit.info and learn more.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Ed, you said we have a caller on the line? Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Yes?
Hi, it's Christine Hammaker.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good. I see you have Rachel on, and I had a question that I wasn't sure if she addressed it because I tuned in a little late. I was visiting my mom at Arden Courts.
Okay,
Hi,
and what's your
Christine.
question?
My question is, what are some of the best answers to give when your loved one asks, when are you coming back? Or when can I go home?
So I always tell my families to not, and it obviously depends on where they are in their disease state. So some individuals living in the community still wear a watch and still have a calendar, and their loved ones will leave a note saying, I will be back on Tuesday, and it's Sunday. And so they're angry all day on Monday that they have to wait until their loved one comes back. If your loved one has no concept of time, then
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter when you tell them. So tell them what's going to make them happy. So if
soon,
I'll come back really soon. Yeah, keep it generic. Don't put a time and a time stamp and a day on it. Just say, I will be back before you know it. I'll be back very soon. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tonight. Just kind of a vague period of time.
I'll be back before you know it, Mom.
Yes. And then when they ask when they can go home, again, if they don't have much of a sense of time, there's no problem with telling them soon. So my feeling is if it's something that they don't have the capacity to understand, like why they can't go home or why they have to be in a community, and they're not going to remember what you say anyway, then you might as well tell them what's going to make them happy in that moment. So I know it feels counterintuitive to lie to the people that we love, but just like I don't tell my children every little thing that they don't have the capacity to understand, and I might tell them white lies of what I think they can understand, we kind of have to do that for our loved ones with dementia. So,
well, I think many times too, you can tell them, well, we have to wait for the doctor's approval. Or the doctor says, this is what's best for you, Mom, now. I found that works. And then I also find that home, lots of times it's just a feeling. It's not a place. She may say she wants to go home, and she may be thinking in her head where she lived when she was a little girl.
Yeah. So where is Mom at right now as far as her cognitive capacity?
So my mom's biggest problem is the short-term memory.
Okay.
So I do think that, giving the vague answers is good. What I've learned, and she's been in an Arden Courts community now for 5 months, and I'm just
Can you talk a little louder, Christine?
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me take you off speaker. Mom's been in a Arden Courts community for 5 months now, and I'm really thankful for what I've learned as I've been there from family members and from the staff. She has short-term memory issues primarily, but she still has really good executive functioning and, can understand things. And my mom has always wanted to understand. So, she's very resourceful. She's very smart. And I find that what I've had to learn is in the past, if Mom kept asking the same question, I would come up with a different way to give the answer because I obviously hadn't been clear enough or she wanted more detail. Right. But now I realize I can give the same answer over and over. I don't have to wear myself out with that. And she doesn't really require it because she just wants reassurance, like you said, Rachel.
Yeah. It's not like a component of her not understanding. It's just that she didn't remember your previous response.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, and her high anxiety, which, one thing that I think a lot of people miss with their loved ones with dementia is the role anxiety plays in all of it.
Absolutely. I call them my nervous Nellies. I have my pleasantly confused and I have my nervous Nellies, and it is more difficult when they're a nervous Nellie.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, Christine, today. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you both.
No problem.
Bye, Christine.
Bye-bye.
So I'm so glad she called in and we could answer those questions because I think some other people might have been asking the same sort of thing. But right now we come to the end of the show. So thank you, Rachel, for being here today with us. And where can our listeners find you?
They can find me at Arden Courts of Largo on Highland Avenue, and they can call me anytime. Caregiver emergencies happen all the time, not just during business hours, at 727-543-8383.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, listeners, for you being here today. We'll bring you another great show next week. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.